What's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? Good morning, gang, gang. You already know. Just wanted to jump onto the charts with everybody. My guy Eddie is already on the call. You already know. Again, just wanted to jump onto a call, make sure that we are obviously identifying the charts together, identifying any obvious potential trading opportunities, and then really, excuse me, then really going from there. Oh, look at that! I'm already frozen on the cam. I don't know if we're going to be able to use the actual webcam here because I think it just keeps freezing. Let me just remove it really fast. I will actually go ahead and try to add it again. You guys are going to see my face extremely large really fast, so I do apologize. But it literally just keeps freezing for absolutely no reason. What's good, everybody? Let's try to get that size down. So if this does continue to just like keep freezing, it just makes me look ugly. I'm just going to actually remove it so that way you guys don't have to just stare at my ugly mug just frozen. But obviously, again, I just wanted to jump onto the charts with you guys, identify any potential opportunities, and really, again, just give back as much value as possible. I think that's really important. And did I already freeze? Okay, I did not. Just want to make sure I don't look too bad for you guys. But again, I really want to, again, make sure that I'm jumping onto the charts with you all, identifying any potential trade opportunities, answering any questions that you guys may have, and then really just seeing if there's any potential trades that I could place for myself, my students, for our auto trader, and for potential signals as well. With how the markets have been, it's been kind of crazy, so I haven't been placing too many trades or going, trying to be too risky. And if you just periodically just see me look up and down, it's because like I want to make sure that one, I'm not frozen, and two, that if you guys have any questions, I'm definitely answering them. Miss Newsom, how are you? Pleasure to have you with us this morning. So let me just, and I don't have my contacts in, so I know I'm going to be looking kind of crazy right now. But real quick, before I continue, I definitely want to say thank you guys for all being on today's call. Again, just want to just make sure that I'm doing these as much as I can with you all. Really giving back to the forex community, and just giving as much value as I can. So if you know anybody who could definitely benefit from these calls, who can actually get some type of knowledge or even profits, because you never know, there might be some trades that we could place today. Today is in fact Tuesday, so the market kind of is opened up a little bit. So if we can identify something like that, obviously I want to get them on so that way we can get them profitable and knowledgeable as well. So if you can, please like, share this, get more people on, build this community. Obviously I'm just doing this based off of profits and value. So help me help you guys, because this is going to be beneficial for everybody. So real quick, if you guys don't know how it goes, if you guys have any specific markets you want to take a look at, feel free to let me know in the chat. I'll definitely take a look at those specific charts. If not, I'll personally be looking at some charts that I usually go over for myself and students, the ones that I personally like to trade the most, as far as volatility, consistency with profits, and then kind of the idea of how easy, in a sense, they are to trade with my style. So I haven't frozen yet. Okay. It's crazy. I don't know why. Like my webcam just randomly freezes. It really does. I think like the more that I move, it just like freaks out. I mean, I have a boss ass computer, so it's crazy how it does that. Good morning. What's good, Martez? What is good? What's good? All right. So, if you guys have any charts, feel free to let me know what you want to take a look at. I'll definitely take a look at those. If anything, before we actually go over what you guys want to see, I actually want to go see gold. This is something that we were taking a look at actually yesterday on our live call yesterday, so you guys could actually go ahead and take a look at that. The one thing, I just dropped my damn phone. I'm like trying to multitask with everything over here. So what I'm looking at, or what we were previously looking at, was an idea that gold was going to give us, well, we looked for a potential buy, and it was into our sell kill zone. So it actually looked like this. We can actually go ahead and replay this, and we'll scale down to a smaller time frame actually. So when we looked at this, gold was somewhere around here. And let me make sure. Nope. I don't know how I always mess that up. So we were roughly around here, and where actually is my little replay button? That's weird. Oh, it's down here. So what I am looking at is the idea, or what we were looking at was, it was actually down here, the candle. We look for potential buys roughly into our sell kill zone. Now, it didn't reach my 61.8. Well, I'm not looking at that ever as a specific zone, like the 618 is the holy grail. But I was looking at that more along specifically because that was like the actual structure point, and didn't quite reach there. And the market did, in fact, as we kind of like expected, or assumed rather, that it would break through that trend line and then come back to retest said trend line right there, and then continue to push down lower. And we actually have that occurring now. So the reason why we're looking at this is because if we look left to get right, we can understand what's going to happen right now with gold. I do think that gold is going to continue to sell. Let me just make sure I'm not frozen. All right, perfect. All right. Just want to make sure if anybody's just jumping on, for some reason my webcam just keeps freezing, like on for you guys. So I do apologize for that. Sometimes I'll just be like, it looks like I'm stuck and frozen, but you guys can still hear and see everything going on. So I'm just making sure that I'm not, so I don't look crazy for you guys. But again, what I'm looking at right now is since we broke below this trend line, we are looking for continued sells. But we're not going to be able to find them right now. But the market now has developed into a way that we can look for an opportunity to the downside. Now, where would that most likely be? I'll show you here in a second. Let me actually just delete a few things. So since we have, I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to delete this because none of this up here is important to me anymore. Obviously nothing up here because our sells did not, the market did not come up here for any type of sells. So since we do have a break below this level of structure, kind of already came to that point. Actually, there's a few points of structure within this time frame that we're going to take a look at. Again, let me just make sure. All right, perfect. So we can see right now that we're at a level of strong support, or just structure rather. So that can give me a strong idea of a few things. Structure, easy. We all know it. We all see it all the time. We're just identifying it because it's going to play a really important role of what's going to happen with gold next. Even though we do have the break to the downside, if we go from the highs here, break, retest, impulsive move, what we can now, just to make sure that our correction is going to actually start from here, because we're at a level of support structure, right? This is probably going to have a correction somewhere. So just to make sure that this impulse is in fact over and a correction is in fact going to start from here, we can go from here, swing high, swing low, back up with our Fibonacci extension tool. Make sure that's actual highs. And you can see here, almost perfect with how I had my zone drawn out actually. You can see here roughly right between that the 141, not even between anything, just the 141 Fibonacci extension ratio is now being respected. We can see the rejection to the downside. Am I frozen? All right, perfect. So with me being able to see something like that, that's going to tell me that if we're looking for anything, we can find a correction from this area. Now, where is it most likely going to reach? A few areas. This was the previous support, probably there, right? I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller because I don't want my my analysis, everything to be in blue, like my candlesticks. So I'm just going to cheat because we already know where the market is. We can see it, right? So we can see we're coming right back to these exact lows. I'll actually just connect it there. So what I would be expecting with gold is, and I'm not saying for anybody to go ahead and start buying this because I don't think that's going to be a relatively good idea. We still have U.S. news coming out, if I'm correct, at 10 o'clock or not. If I'm correct, 9 or 10 o'clock, we have some U.S. news coming out. So trading this right now is not going to be the best. It's going to get extremely volatile, probably not in the direction that we would want, especially right now because look at that. You know what I mean? Like that candlestick is still very much bearish. So going against that currently would be, I would say, premature in the sense of just jumping into a trade just because we're at a level of structure. So I would allow this market to develop a little bit more to give me a strong idea of what's going to happen next. Now, the reason why I'm looking for my sells up here, why? I mean, it's the first thing that we always learn when we're like, if anybody's learning how to trade, the first thing that they're really going to like understand first is you never buy high, you never sell low. So that's the last thing I'm going to do here. I'm not going to sell at a low point. I'm going to look to potentially buy from here if the market does, show me an idea. But that doesn't show me an idea right now because that's pushing down rather low and very impulsively too. But we still have, 40 minutes left for this candlestick to initially close. So this could actually do the same thing as this candle. Leave a large wick to the downside, right? So if that could do the same thing here, obviously that probably will give me a little bit more confidence and confluence that we will in fact get a correction roughly around this area. So I said 141, that might be the 1618 extension down here. So we're actually going to draw this out because these are the next level lows. So roughly around anywhere within these two areas, I'll be looking for potential buys, back up into a level of potential sells. So again, this will be considered our sell area. But I'm not immediately going to even sell when it gets there either. Like, I don't want anybody to be like, all right, he's immediately doing that. Definitely not. You know, like I'm allowing the market to always develop around these areas. Let me get rid of this. So even here, even if we do get some rejection around this area, the market or this candlestick here just says, you know what, let me actually leave a wick to the downside, kind of like how the candlestick next to it did. That will then, again, tell me that that's the level of structure that we should be identifying for and this, I mean, not a short, but a short time buy, where we're not staying in it for long. Like, we're not looking for it to jump all the way up here. We could go from here to here. If not, even better if it comes down to here. Because if it does that, still the same area, but a better risk to reward for us in our favor. So I would be looking at gold in that idea. So let me just see if there's any questions that you guys may have. Gold, Stacy. Good thing I'm already on that. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Lifted. Was good, was good. All right, so perfect that we already went over gold. I'm glad that everybody wanted to take a look at that. And it does look like we're already getting some type of respect there on the 618 Fibonacci extension ratio, which could be, are we there yet? I don't got my contacts in, so this is how I have to be. And also because I really want to make sure that if it did in fact touch, you're not going to really be able to see that no matter what. So you zoom in. Didn't quite touch yet, but we're getting there. And I mean, even if it doesn't necessarily perfectly respect that area, it could either be a little bit off of my measurement or obviously the market itself not really hitting it, but it's just roughly at that point. It's off by a little bit. I would still deem that somewhat of an idea of a potential correction. So I don't know. It'll be stupid risky for us to buy this, but I think I might go ahead and just be risky and try to get in at the correction from here. But the actual idea where it's most relevant is down here, I would say. And we're nearing that area. So especially because we've already broken through here. I mean, it hasn't closed yet, but it's broken through pretty significantly. You can't really deny that. You know what I mean? So what I would think is, yeah, and oh, look at that. It's still impulsing lower. So I would definitely say roughly around here. And again, even with news coming through, that's rather risky, but at least coming from a structural, not too much of a structural low, but we can see that this price was somewhat of a relevance previously, even if we look further left, right? So that is the next level of structure that I would think that gold would give us a strong buy, not a strong buy, but the next potential buy would come from. And this would be much better, again, because risk to reward. And look at that, it's almost there. So I might just be risky as hell and just get into this as soon as it reaches this point. I usually allow the market to develop. Like, once it gets to that point, then I let the next few candlesticks develop, let it range, consolidate, see what, you know, the next true picture is. But after a strong impulsive move like that with little to no correction for a few hours, there could be the idea that once it reaches here, we can get some type of move. And that can cause a pretty steep correction. At least for it, and especially with gold, you could look at, I mean, look at this. Let's actually just identify if it did hit exactly here. This is just educational purposes. This is obviously, I don't know if this is going to happen, but let's say it hits here and then we come back up here, right? Now, even there on a small move is 60 pips. That's a beautiful move. And that can happen in one candle, you know? So even from here to our potential sell area is over 200 pips. That's a beautiful trade any day. Now, obviously, we're looking for sells from there. We could take profits and then look for continued moves to the downside. Just catch all that right back and then some, right? Because overall, I do think that gold will continue to sell, especially now. Like, we'll actually go ahead and take a look at the higher time frame. Actually, the weekly. Let me make sure I haven't frozen yet. All right. Bet I haven't frozen. So being here on the weekly, we got to truly understand the directional pattern of what gold's going to be doing long term. And just overall where I think it's going to be, or where it's going to go rather, is down here. That's the first structure, and then down here. And you can just see why. This was a level of previous support. And it's not perfect the way that I'm drawing it up. When I take my time and like from here, smaller time frame, then obviously I'll get more meticulous with it. But I'm just showing you the overall ideas of where gold may end up going. So I do believe these lows, either here or here, will be met. But what I'm not paying attention to that right now because, excuse me, that could take a bit for it to come into play, right? So this high was respected. Let me make sure I ain't freeze yet because I know I just made a giant movement. Again, like if anybody's just jumping onto the call, my webcam just keeps freezing. It's like if I make a giant movement, move my hand or some shit, my computer just like freezes out. It's like, oh, what am I doing? So it's real crazy. So I do apologize if I do freeze. But again, this level of structure right here being respected, very important. If you can't see the respect, identify what your candlestick patterns mean or what these represent, right? Super important if you don't understand candlesticks or the characteristics and the variance of them, because when you get those and this is a very important tip, if you understand, I know because we have a lot of legacy students on here, probably just mostly legacy students, which is dope. I appreciate y'all either way. But you guys know exactly what that means, right? I'll share this with everybody really quick. If you don't know, and it's a very simple concept. Wicks equal rejection. Very simple, right? I'm not trying to overcomplicate anything within my trading. I'm trying to identify what the market is, the clues that the market is leaving behind. Those clues are going to be profitable because we're going to be able to identify the future of the market. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to identify the actual future. We're trying to make sure that what we're doing is going to set up for the next potential trade. That if we're looking for a buy, where's it going to buy from? If we're going to sell, where's it going to sell from? If we're looking for that here, look left to get right. We can see that. We can see that previous structure over here was respected. Strong sells occurred. Same thing right here. Previous market or previous price was met. Strong sells are in fact occurring. When we scale down to a smaller time frame, being the daily, you can see it a little bit, but on the 4 hour, it's a little bit more relevant. I'll mark it up here on the 4 hour actually, but on the daily, maybe you could train your eyes to see that. It's a very strong, important idea, pattern. Here, it's a little bit better. Actually, it's two of them in one now. Right, so what we're looking at is this. We have, the tools over here. I thought I'd put the tool in my little box down here. So what we're looking at is the overall markup is this head and shoulders pattern. And even up here, we had a head and shoulders pattern within this area when the level of structure was met. So I'll get rid of this really fast. And you can see that head and shoulders pattern. Very important, right? Because, again, price, action. We identify the most relevant level of price and the actions that proceed within it. Because that will then tell us what's going to happen next. Did I freeze yet? I have not. Okay. It looked like I did for a second. But again, we're identifying the most relevant level of price and the actions that proceed within it. If you can identify actions at those points, it'll tell you a clear story of what could potentially happen next. And we can see what's happening with gold now. I'm definitely not buying this now. Definitely no buys. So even here on the 4 hour, we can see the structural break of the lows. Again, this is just, I'm now giving you long-term bias. So we broke below there. And the reason why I'm looking at here is because this is where candlesticks were, not just the wicks of anything, but the actual bodies of the candles themselves. If we actually draw a counter trend line, I think that actually broke as well. Yeah. So we actually have the break and retest of a counter trend line. Counter trend line, just very self-explanatory. It is a trend line going against the trend. So if it's selling, this is a buyer's trend line. This is what we were looking at yesterday. Again, right? Oh, what am I talking about? This is exactly what we were looking at before. I was like, oh, it broke the counter trend line. We had this marked up. This is why I never break my, or like delete my analysis. Because every time I do, I always forget. And I'm just like, oh, that's new enough. That's exactly what we identified yesterday. But you can see that, the break, the retest of the actual trend line. So it's just showing us more continued sells. And we're right back at these lows. And with how impulsive this candle is, I'm not looking for any buys on that whatsoever. I mean, we do have about an hour and a half for the 4 hour candle here to close. That can also leave a wick as it continues to develop around here. But that's still very risky in the sense of any type of buys, especially when this market's showing clear sells. So I would look for this. If that's broken, I mean, we're already looking for sells. I'm not even saying if this is broken. This level of structure here is already broken. So it sells all day. Now, as far as re-entries will go, I would think, again, that level of structure here is beautiful, or obviously we can come back here. And again, that's just to give you the long-term bias, and again, to give you the overall analysis of what could potentially happen next for entries. So we'll do this. Sell kill zone. Just rewrite that out. So sell kill zone. And I'm not going to draw a fib or anything just yet. Yeah, you're definitely not buying that. I'm not going to draw a fib or anything right now because obviously this is still impulsing. This is not correcting as of yet. So we can't draw a Fibonacci retracement tool on something that's not retracing yet. So as far as confluence, that's the only thing I'm going to use as of right now. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So any other charts you guys want to take a look at? Any questions? If you are confused, feel free to let me know. Definitely available. But yeah, there's absolutely no buys on that. Look at that. That is crazy. So yeah, just continued sells on that. And let's see. Let's take a look at GBP JPY. That ain't even doing anything. It is respecting our previous analysis though, so it's not really giving me too much of a different idea. I mean, right now the majority of our yen pairs are just continued buys, but it does seem as if it is losing its previous bullish momentum. If I scale out to the weekly, what we can identify, I might have to scale out to the monthly. So just looking left to get right, I can just see that we're at some type of structure. I don't like going this far back, but I do want to understand the reasoning on why this is starting to look as if this is no longer bullish. And here on the monthly, if we just look left, we can see structure here. We can see structure here. And we can currently see that there is some type of respect around this range. So with me seeing that, scaling down to a smaller time frame on the weekly, now only being Tuesday, we can see how it opened up yesterday, or how it just opened up in general, rather, for the start of the week. Not yesterday, because it starts on Sunday. We can see how it is now showing some type of rejection only on a Tuesday. That's on the weekly time frame. Scale down to the daily, we can start to see a further more rejection. I mean, just looking at candlesticks. Again, if you don't know the characteristics of them, how they function, and how they should be identified, please take the time to go ahead and do that. There's tons of content. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna make something on it, but I swear I found this candlestick video. I forgot like the link to it, but I'm gonna send it to Legacy students after, actually. But that thing is beautiful. Like, I can't even lie. The person who made that was a genius. So I couldn't even personally do it any better. So there's a lot of content out there as far as actually identifying and finding candlestick patterns, or understanding candlesticks rather. So definitely take the time out to really understand the behavior and what they do and what they mean. It's very, very important. So again, understanding how the candlestick is forming here, or not just forming, the characteristic of it. Again, wicks equal rejection. We're at a level of structure. Scale down to a smaller time frame, the 4 hour. Now we're getting more candlestick confirmations, more candlestick confirmations, right? Again, we're starting to identify a weaker bullish market. What I was originally looking at was buys from here. Obviously, a break and a retest from this level of previous structure. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that right now what we're getting is, so far, and I know, well, actually, I don't think this actually had it for a bit, if I'm correct. Let me see. Yeah, it didn't really have any lower highs and lower lows for a bit. It's been pretty much just higher highs and higher lows the entire time. And you can't really see that here anymore, right? We're starting to see that on these smaller time frames, we're now getting lower highs. This is a high point. This is a lower high. Lower high. Now we're getting, we don't have the lower low as of yet. So that market structure is still valid as far as to identify potential buys. But in the same sense as what we're looking at, the prerequisites of how sells are setting up to break a level of structure, we can see right here that it's setting up to break that level of structure and now give us a potential lower low. And we're going to do the same thing here with GJ. We're going to draw a potential trend line. Just, I say potential because I don't know if it's going to be confirmed. I figured that we could probably get something like that, but that's not even, no, definitely not. As far as like trend lines, like when I'm using a trend line, I'm not going to try to identify it super close to a trend, especially like an immediate, or what I call an immediate trend, something that's just like so impulsive that it has little to no corrections, and you really can't draw a trend line on something that's just a straight shot to the upside. you need some type of correction. You need some type of movement in order for that trend line to actually come into play, right? We don't necessarily have that here with the GJ. So I want to be very careful in the sense of even using that as my current analysis. As the market develops, obviously we can in the future. I mean, even to the downside, maybe we can have something like this if in fact we get sellers, confirmation. But I'm going to be careful with that. But I want to see break below there. We'll find potential sells. So let's do this. And again, I'm just marking things up, going over things. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Let me see really quick. Euro USD, do you still use? Yes. Good morning, my brother. I just went over, okay, AU and Euro USD. So let me see real quick. Let me see. Oh, break below this level equals strong sells. Most likely a potential reversal as well, because if we start breaking that market structure, it's just really going to indicate that sellers are really taking over and buyers are no longer welcome. So let's go ahead and see, what was it? AU? I'll take a look at AU. Oh, there you go. Pretty much what we went over, if I'm correct, yesterday or a few days ago. Sells. Targets one. It's crazy how, like, you mark up your charts, you identify what the market's potentially going to do, and then it happens. Yeah, sells. Especially with how, I mean, again, we do have news coming out. If not in 30 minutes, I think at 10 o'clock it comes out. There's going to be some U.S. news. So as far as like what you're looking at for trading wise, U.S. cross pairs, I'd be very careful with that. But yeah, I mean, what we're looking at is sells. You're not really looking for anything else. Now, where to sell, I mean, that's up to you. You know what I mean? Like, but the analysis, where to get in and all, the analysis is here. You can see how, let me just see. So I want to make sure that I'm not tailor making, there we go. I'm not tailor making it. It almost came back to retest that trend line. But I mean, this is still very much a strong structural zone. And you can see it just came back to respect that point. You know what I mean? So you can see what the market is doing. You just got to look at it. You know what I mean? Even here, we have a level of structure that's currently being broken. Doesn't mean that it is, because the candle hasn't closed. It's currently leaving a large wick to the downside. Does not mean that that wick cannot be filled. But I would say that if this is in fact broken, you're looking for continued sales to the downside here. I mean, either way, I would say that AU is a sell. The majority of the U.S. cross pairs, GU, just continued sales. You know what I mean? So yeah. And you said AUD USD is fire. Oh, were you looking at that? Did you actually trade that? If you did, absolutely, that'd be great, because I mean, we're looking at targets 1, we're looking at targets 2 down there. Now again, this is all speculative, because when the news comes out, next thing you know, this just goes like this, just skyrockets. But yeah, I would say for the most part, looking for continued sales. And you said Euro NZD. There's your answer. You know what I mean? That is definitely 100% your answer right there. You don't need to do anything else. And what I'm looking at, what I'm saying is, and the reason why I'm not marking up any analysis is because the market is, when you see something like that, you're not ever going against that. You know what I mean? There's a reason for this, whether it's technical or fundamental. If you don't know, it doesn't matter. There's a reason for it. Follow that, right? There's nothing else that Euro NZD, you know what to do or what to look for on that. You're looking for buys. Now, if you want to look for sells, maybe here, maybe at these previous highs, anywhere. This is definitely not my zone, but like that's an area of interest that I would say that we can look for potential sells anywhere that you would mark up your structure within that point. But those are strong buys. Those look like very strong buys, which means that the New Zealand dollar itself should be losing a lot of value. So let's go ahead and take a look at let's see NZD CAD, which is crazy because there's no NZD news. Look at that. Just mark up your structure and I don't even know when the last time I marked this up, actually. It's just using the proper structure. Buy zone. Wow, this is a while ago. I just realized because this isn't the same color as my now. It's crazy. I mean, that just goes to show how important price is no matter what. Certain price points within the market are more, I would say, relevant than others in a sense. And you can see that. And it looks like CHF. So let's see USD CHF real quick. It looks like all CHF pairs for the most part. I'm just taking a quick look. I want to get some confidence. Oh, what? That's crazy. The fact that, you know, CHF, I thought CHF was gaining a lot of value. It looks like it's not. CAD CHF? No, well, it is. Well, it looks like I'm just, okay. Oh, wow. We were just looking at this and break below this level, strong sells. There you go. There's the answers for GJ. We're starting to look for, we're already getting breaks below that level of structure. So it's actually pretty beautiful. We're actually getting that real time. So what we can do is now, since we are getting this idea, we can now mark this up for potential entries. So I'm just making sure my trend line is good. What I am going to do is, no, I'll just keep it here. I'm going to look for re-entries roughly around here because we are getting that break. Now, I'm not going to use a fib again because there's no correction as of yet. So we got to let this truly develop. What we can do is this. Let me actually just do this really fast. Just so that way I can, oh wait, there's no, I was going to use a Fibonacci extension tool, but I can't even. I was like, oh, we can identify, but no, we're going to identify this as a first potential structure point for a correction, and even to these lows as well for a correction. Still looking for sells, but I mean, if this market can do something like this, we can identify potential buys, take profit, sell. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to identify multiple areas within the market where we could potentially get profits from, and obviously down here as well. Now, these are not target zones because I'm personally not in any type of sells on this. Somebody just calling me right now. My bad. So what I am looking at right now is, again, these levels of structure. This support. And these are just to call as corrective moves. That is it. I'm not looking for... Oh, I spelled that wrong. I'm not looking for like reversals or anything crazy like that. I just want to see if there is a move from here. Because if there is, I can buy potentially into that point. And then if it does, start looking for sells from here. I take profits, look for sells back down. I'm not going to look for buys down here. I'll just hold those sells because obviously that's where the market is most likely going. But that's what I would look at even here with GJ. But yeah, those other two markets, AU, Euro, NZD, you know exactly what to do with those. Those are pretty impulsive. Those are showing you like the true identity, the momentum. It's pretty clear. Let me see. You already 100. Oh, okay, nice. USD CAD. You got all the pairs. And I gotta wait. What's your Ash FX? What do you usually trade? I'm over here putting Ash FX. What do you usually trade? What's the question that you have with this as well? Like, what's the idea? Because I'm just marking up charts, but I want to make sure I'm staying relevant to what you guys want to identify as well. So yeah, what is it that you want to like with USD CAD? I mean, there's potential buys. Again, if we're looking at AU sells, and we're looking at GU sells, gold selling off pretty heavily, probably going to start looking for potential buys with USD CAD. Again, news coming out pretty soon. I'd be very careful with trading anything US related, but yeah, I would say potential buys. We're already getting some type of rejection from here. Now, obviously, here's the other lower point based here off the daily time frame. But yeah, I would say buys. It's not really forming up to it right now. I mean, there is the idea of that inverted head and shoulders pattern here. It has not fully broken below the head of the pattern, so I would say, yeah, definitely continued strong buys from there. Now, obviously, we would want to see this being broken because that'll then show us buyers are now in fact taking over. But yeah, still looking for buys on that. Oh, my phone's about to die. It's on 10%. But yeah, continue buys. You know what I mean? You're not, I know it's going against the trend, but when we go on a higher time frame and use, further or higher time frame confluence to get a strong idea, that will tell me a lot. So I would say buys up into these ranges here. Not too bad. And now we're just gonna have to let that develop, right? Because again, with news, and I think this week, if I'm correct, is in fact NFP, because this is the first Friday of the start of the new month. So what we're going to see is probably with the dollar, not as much volatility as we would expect, because leading into NFP, we're not going to, nobody's really going to be trading the US dollar. The volatility might lessen. So I think with the idea of trading the dollar right now will be a little risky. But I would think that with NFP, that might be the catalyst, like the reason on why the majority of these US cross pairs will in fact start moving. And that might end up just being on a Friday and then leading into the following week from there. But if I would say, yeah, buys on USD CAD, just strong potential buys. And we're already getting a bullish engulfing candlestick from this range as well. Let me get rid of these. So me seeing something like that, I mean, that's kind of already a tall tale sign of what's going to most likely happen next. The idea that we're going to go from here, it's possibly back up to these highs. And again, if it breaks above that, we can, continue to look for stronger buys. But as of right now, I would hold off of anything right now until we really start identifying what potentially happens next, which is the break of those highs. I'm not going to buy from down here because, again, the sells or the market is currently in a bearish market. So I'm not going to go against that currently. But if we break above here, then we could definitely look for it. So we'll actually just do this. Break above equals strong buys. So yeah, break above that equals strong buys in this potential market. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. All right. But yeah, let me see what else. I'll take a look at a few more. My phone's about to die, so I'll have to conclude this in a bit. Only because I want to make sure that I could actually answer any and all questions. But I'll take a look at a few other charts. It looks like the euro is just, yeah, it's the euro. They did just have some speeches, if I'm correct. Let me actually just take a look. Yeah, it seems like it's the euro right now that's just like, bye, Felicia. This is why I've kind of been like out of the markets for a little bit, like not have been as active. I'm obviously on the charts every day, but as far as like placing trades, I personally have not been as active only because of exactly that. Like this is something that you won't ever be able to identify. These are very strong, impulsive, random moves that the market is now making. And it's really, a lot of it is the geopolitical and the fundamental factors that happen within the market a lot. So I do think that right now, trading everything is a little risky. I mean, this is kind of easy to see in the sense, because, I mean, if we're looking at patterns, inverted head and shoulders pattern, I'm pretty sure a lot of them had the same thing, But in the sense of how I would say, and that's the weirdest thing too, right? You would think that Euro JPY would follow suit, correlation. No, but Euro NZD definitely did. And this is a weird looking inverted head and shoulders pattern, but you could definitely see how that is there. Same thing with, well, there is no inverted head and shoulders pattern with this, but the correlation is very, very much truly there. There might be a potential trade opportunity here with EU, just as a corrective move, because I don't want to go against these strong buys. That's something I definitely don't want to go against. But if we actually look at this, there could be the idea of potential sell zone. Now, that's not 100%, especially with how this is, right? With how much of an impulsive buy that is. We can't just say, oh, yeah, once it gets here, we sell. Absolutely not. But what I can identify is a potential idea from here. Again, just identifying the potential highs. Let me actually see what gold's doing. Gold's just like, you know what? And again, that's the weirdest thing. Let me actually see the DXY. Is that selling or I don't know if anybody understands how weird that is. That we have the DXY and we have gold right now moving in the same direction, which has been happening. I mean, this entire time for I would say, right? DXY has been increasing in value. Gold's been increasing in value. Obviously not now, but in the sense of the overall idea. I don't know if you guys understand how weird that is, right? That's like if you're looking at, let's say the actual idea of what the market is, or how DXY is supposed to be reflected by gold. Gold is the US dollar's reserve. If gold is pushing up, the DXY should be pushing down, right? You should be selling, and vice versa. So when gold's pushing down, that means the dollar is in fact gaining value. So when gold's selling, losing value, the dollar is in fact supposed to be increasing. That's not the sense, and it's just a very weird correlation of how these two markets are not working in tandem. Usually you do get the idea of correlation within them, but no, not anymore. So it's just very weird. That's why I wanted to take a quick look at it. It's just a very weird concept, a very weird market that we're currently in. But yeah, just I want to take a look at some things after this, because yeah, this is a weird correlation. But yeah, I would be looking at more continued. Actually, let's go back to Euro USD. It's not there yet. I do want to actually see if there's some sells here. So if you guys want to go ahead and do this with me, feel free. It's very risky. I don't think it's going to be a great idea, to be completely honest. But I'm going to do it just because I want to see how this the structure is in fact respected. I'm going to put not even in a specific price point. I'm just going to be looking for sells around here. So when we actually get to this point, I'm not going to put any sell limits, no buy stops or anything like that. I'm going to put or market execute a trade anywhere within this level of structure here. I'm going to have a stop loss of about, I would say 25 pips, because I think even if that's broken, it's just going to continue. And my take profit would be at these lows here. My ultimate take profit. Obviously, I'll probably take profits way before that with how impulsive this is, but anywhere within this level of structure, I'll be looking for some potential sells. So potential sell zone, and that's how my trade setup would look. And again, it's only because after a strong impulsive move, I believe there's going to be some type of correction. I think this level of structure that we're going to be meeting soon will be the catalyst to start that initial correction. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, let's see. I just want to see if there's any potential ideas for entries, because again, these sessions definitely help myself and my students, because the more people that I have obviously watching myself do all this work, I'm always going to try to be as perfect as possible, so that way obviously the information that is given is accurate and you guys can benefit from it. And that just translates to profits to my students and just me getting some more ideas. Like right now I'm back testing an EA that will pass funded challenges such as FTMO. Excuse me. And if that does in fact produce positive results and can in fact pass some demo FTMOs, because we're not doing it on live just yet, if we can in fact pass some demo FTMOs, I'll be just giving that out to legacy students. So these sessions definitely help me kind of like conjure up some new ideas, and what helps me helps you guys, and what helps you guys definitely helps legacy students. So definitely appreciate it. But what I can see here real quick, I'm just looking at GU to see if there's potential sells even here. And we're going to take a fib from swing highs, swing lows, kind of like in this area. So we might actually have, potential sells here with the GBP USD as well. Very risky, again, in the sense of how the market is reacting. It seems like on the fundamental aspect. So I'd be a little bit more careful in placing the majority of any type of trades. So even with GU, it'd be rather risky. Is that, yeah, we could actually have that. We have the break of that trend line, almost the retest of it. So just showing us a continued idea of sellers within the market. I might actually go ahead pretty soon and play some sells on GU. I do like the way it currently looks there. And same thing with Euro USD. We'll go back to that. I just want to see if it reached there. Okay. GBP USD. So my trade setup might look like this. And I say might because there's no entries on this just yet. Again, I'm going to allow the markets to develop, really see what it wants to do. But I'm not going to have my stop losses just above there. I'm going to keep it just roughly 35 pips. Because I think if anything, if it breaks above that, it's probably going to want to continue to push up a lot higher. But it can't come play around back at that trend line. So I want to give my trade a little bit of room to breathe, see if it can come back crashing lower. But that's something I would look at with GU. Let me actually get rid of that, and we'll do this. There we go. So I'd see something like this for potentially here on GU. And let's see what else. I'm just trying to do this before my phone dies. What's crazy is I always forget to put my phone on the charger. I really do. USD CAD. See how this setting up. Okay. Yeah, USD CHF just kind of like saying forget about it. USD JPY. So it does seem as if these yen pairs are ready to fall. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at USD JPY. The reason being is because now we're looking for, strong sells. Look left to get right. We're actually going to go onto the monthly really quick. Did I freeze? Okay, I have not frozen yet. Perfect. So what I'm looking at is, just looking left to get right, we can see how this is a strong level of previous structure. Very important, right? A lot of us were looking for sells. I was definitely one of those individuals looking for sells. But this just continues to be bullish, and no longer is USD JPY bullish. We can now see what this level of structure is giving us. Strong structure. Oop. I gotta put my contacts in. Oh my God, I can't spell. You guys know I could do it. I don't have my contacts in, so I can't even see anything. But yeah, you get it. Like strong structure. The idea of resistance, right? We can see the market is actually giving us the idea that the market is giving us rejection from this point previously. We can see it's going to give us rejection currently. I can't believe I couldn't see to spell that. That's so funny. But you can see here this level of strong structure. That resistance point is probably going to give us some type of selling pressure off of these strong buys that we've been having on USD JPY and the majority of our yen pairs. So what I can see here is, again, going down to the weekly. It's only Tuesday, and we're already leaving a strong wick to the upside. And just like we said previously, wicks equal rejection. So me seeing that wick to the upside is going to show me an idea of potential sells. Now we need the market to truly develop and really show us that it is ready to sell. As we scale down to smaller time frames, we can start to see that it's creating lower highs. With these lower highs comes the idea of buyers losing momentum and sellers looking to take over. We already have somewhat of a structural break. Very important that we look at that. Why? Because if we look here, that could be a potential retest zone. Obviously not specifically to that point, but what we can identify is the market reaching that point once again. We already have a break below, so we can identify potential sells from there. Now, again, I'm not going to identify where or use a Fibonacci retracement tool. There's no correction, but what we can identify is where the correction may end up starting from. Probably here, right? So if this can impulse much lower, wrong tool, comes down to here, you can look for potential buys, right? Now that would be something like this. You can see, like, if this would be considered your support, you can now see that that would be your potential resistance. So we could do this a few ways. We could actually have the market come back down here. We can look for buys, and that'll be our targets, because that will obviously be our sell zone. Now, this is all speculative, of course. I'm just giving you the idea of what's potentially going to happen. And now what I'm going to do is identify that as a target. And then if it does, in fact, reach there, you can then do this. Look for sells. And hopefully that makes sense. And I'll post this up in the Discord for everybody, because I like how the markets are kind of shaping up. Now, let me see. Oh, my phone is like on 1%. All right, so unfortunately, I always forget to charge my phone. That's really unfortunate. I do apologize on that. Damn, we've been on for a bit too, though. I appreciate you guys sharing, or just being on, rather. But yeah, what I'll do is I apologize. My phone is definitely about to die. If you guys have any questions throughout the day, feel free to hit me up on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I definitely got you guys 100%. But we're going to conclude for today. I got to charge my phone because I got to drive here in a little bit. I need the GPS, so I do apologize on that. But for one, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I do appreciate every last one of you guys spending some time with us today on our call. I was having a little bit of difficulties this morning trying to get it on, but I obviously came through. So I'll share these charts with you guys in the Discord. If you have any questions throughout the day, again, feel free to hit me up. Again, I really do appreciate every last one of you guys being on with me today, and I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. All right, everybody. Thank you.